that dynamic of building up an emotional fortress or not letting anybody in while potentially keeping them safe. And again, we could even debate about that a little bit. What does that mean? What does safety mean? The downside is it tremendously disconnects them from everybody around them, which for them, they may not care or may not matter to them. It creates a very us versus them dynamic in the culture, and it creates a very isolating dynamic for them, and everybody around them will feel disconnected. And oftentimes over time, it's tough to care about a rock. How much emotional investment do you have in a rock? Do you want that rock in your life? Do you not want it in your life? How is that rock serving you? How are you able to add value to that rock? Oftentimes we can't because it's a rock. Well, it's the same thing. If over time that emotional fortress remains, the people around them will stop being able to add value because the fortress is so high, and they will eventually stop caring.
Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you.
EQ Gangsters. Okay, here's a fascinating thought for the day. How emotionally guarded are you? How emotionally guarded are you? And how emotionally guarded are the people around you? How emotionally guarded are the people around you? And how does that state of being emotionally guarded affect and impact the people around them? This is so fascinating. I've got a handful of people right now. Well, I've done it. I do it at certain times throughout the day. If I get into my dominant brain, my again, deep personality, it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what happens to my emotions, but it's almost like they disappear. And because I get locked into the task, and I become emotionally disconnected to the environment around me, which could feel like maybe being emotionally guarded, although it might look like that, but it's not what's happening. It's just again, it's almost like I'm emotionally disconnected because I'm so focused on the task. Don't confuse that with people that are actually emotionally guarded. I think that's a different dynamic. I am thankful for the sun and sunrises and sunsets and birds chirping and blue skies and cool weather at some point. I'm also thankful for the hot weather to make me appreciate the cool weather when it comes. And I know some of you love hot weather. I wanted to go to Ranger School in the cold weather because you can sort of get warm. In hot weather, when you're outside, there's no really cooling off unless you can find shade, assuming there is shade. So there's only a certain amount of layers of clothes you can get rid of. So I'm thankful for green grass and green trees and the four seasons. All right, how does how should you approach somebody that is emotionally guarded? And what's the impact of somebody who is emotionally guarded on your team, in your organization? Again, I can think of probably over five people off my dome who walk around most of the time in a very emotionally guarded state, and for whatever the reason, right? In their mind, I guarantee you, in every one of their minds, it's justified. They have their fortresses up for a reason, and it's oftentimes for protection or perceived protection. The downside is there are tremendous consequences to, I mean, and I'm sure we have them in our family member. I've got family, half the people I'm thinking of are family members. So there are tremendous consequences that, on one side, the emotional fortress they feel is helping them and protecting them and maybe quote unquote saving them. And it might be what's the word? Coping mechanism or survival mechanism. And it may be from way back in the days, or maybe a recent wound or injury that caused them to put up their emotional fortress. Man, yeah, I've got a number of people I'm thinking of. And the downside is that dynamic of building up an emotional fortress or not letting anybody in while potentially keeping them safe. And again, we could even debate about that a little bit. What does that mean? What does safety mean? The downside is it tremendously disconnects them from everybody around them, which for them, they may not care or may not matter to them. It creates a very us versus them dynamic in the culture, and it creates a very isolating dynamic for them, and everybody around them will feel disconnected. And oftentimes, over time, it's tough to care about a rock. How much emotional investment do you have in a rock? Do you want that rock in your life? Do you not want it in your life? How is that rock serving you? How are you able to add value to that rock? Oftentimes we can't, because it's a rock. Well, it's the same thing. If over time that emotional fortress remains, the people around them will stop being able to add value because the fortress is so high, and they will eventually stop caring. Because the fortress walls are so high, it's tough. It's very tough on a team and an organization when you have a leader who is walking around as an emotional rock or emotional fortress. They will, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They will create a dynamic where they will start to feel like, oh, see, nobody cares about me, and which is why I need to have my emotional fortress up so I don't get hurt, so people can't hurt me. Well, the irony is they're creating that dynamic. And again, that was me. I've done that. I've absolutely done that. Pushed away people that were trying to help me. And what's crazy is I didn't care that I was pushing them away. And then I got mad at them for going away. That's how low my EQ was. I just had no self-awareness. I had no self-management, emotional regulation skills. And I didn't realize the impact that I was having on the people around me. So, and for those that may be around the people that have emotional fortresses up, do your best to love on them and to care about them. Also, have your own boundaries. If after repeated attempts, don't let anybody mistreat you just because they have an emotional fortress up, right? Don't let anybody mistreat you. Because some people that I'm thinking of will actually almost emotionally lash out at those that try to help them. Well, no one has to put up with that. Nobody has to put up with that at all. So obviously don't let anyone violate your boundaries. You still love and pray for them, right? I would say at a minimum, if you can't help somebody that won't be helped. You cannot help somebody that won't be helped. And what's interesting again is the dynamic that those folks create on teams is really, really fascinating. And the organization has to determine, do we allow this? Do we allow leaders who have emotionally shut themselves out from the rest of the organization? It's something that really has to be considered, because it absolutely affects the culture of the entire team, of the whole organization. And so regardless of someone's, tenure, even if they've been around for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in an organization, you've got to consider, well, here's a perfect example. I had a wisdom tooth that just got pulled last week or a couple weeks ago. It was hurting my whole head. Like I was having, my whole mouth was hurting, the whole right side of my head was hurting, and it was one tooth. The one tooth was affecting my entire, I couldn't think straight because it was hurting so bad. So, and if you are one of those people that are so emotionally dysregulated that you are emotionally shut down and have an emotional fortress around you, I would just really encourage you to seek out help and ask for help with whatever's going on emotionally, because I know it feels like it might be creating some safety for you, but ultimately it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Again, that was me. That was literally me for many, many years. I didn't want to get help because it may be perceived as weakness. And I would argue it's the other way around. It takes strength and courage and bravery to reach out and ask for help. Humble yourself and ask for help. The journey that God's had me on over the past few years, handful of years, has now, okay, here's full transparency. Am I great at asking for help now? No, I'm absolutely not great at asking for help. So this is an area that I still need to get better at. Oh my gosh. So yes, I am definitely being a bit of a hypocrite. So that was good. I absolutely need to get better at asking for help as well when I'm struggling with something. Because I truth be told, I am not very good at it. I got to figure that out. Why am I not good at asking for help? Maybe because I know why. For me, I don't like feeling like I'm a burden to somebody. That's my reason. And, it could be different reasons. But I know for my friends, if I had some friends that reached out, well, I've had friends reach out, hey, nobody needs some help. I love helping people. So by me not asking for help, I am robbing people around me, my friends around me, from being able to add tremendous value that I know they can add. That's good. That's good. Okay, this was helpful for me, y'all. Because I don't want to rob somebody. Like me, I don't want to be robbed of an opportunity to help somebody that's hurting. I want to help them. I love helping people. So that's why I do this podcast. And so, okay, that's my commitment, is I am going to commit to being better at asking for help when I need it. Whoo, that's tough, y'all. That is tough. That also hits my unworthiness thing too, because I heard a little voice inside my head saying, you're not worth asking for help. Woo, see, that's not healthy either. Which is another reason I got to get better at asking for help. So yeah, see, because my unworthiness was kicking in there. You don't deserve to be helped. You're not worthy to be helped. Which again, that is absolutely not healthy. So, okay, so I'm going to work on asking for help when I need it. Wow, this is great, y'all. This is great. Thank you for tuning into my own therapy session here. Oh man, how much of an emotional fortress do I have up? Maybe this whole episode was about me. Oh my gosh, this was really good. Okay, y'all, so I pray this added some value to you. If it did, or if you know somebody that could help or encourage, please zap it to them. And just continue to love on and encourage those that might be in this situation where they've got an emotional fortress up. Again, 99% of the time, there's a reason they have an emotional fortress up. They've been hurt before, they've been injured before, they've been wounded before. So just give them lots of grace and patience and love and kindness. I think it's Romans, don't quote me on this, Romans, I don't even remember that. It's in Romans somewhere. God's kindness leads to repentance. Just love on those people, right? We don't want to isolate them. We don't want to hurt them. We don't want to be mean to them. Just love on them. And in their time, hopefully they will slowly let people in, or let the right person in, or right people in that they can entrust. The bottom line is we all hurt each other. Like, none of us are perfect. We all have issues. Clearly I have, you guys hear all my issues on my podcast. I have all kinds of issues I'm working on and working through. So just give each other lots of grace and love and kindness, y'all, as we continue to work on ourselves and become the best version of who God has called us to be. And your emotional health, fitness, and freedom is worth going through the discomfort of becoming the best version of who God's called you to be. Yeah, because the reality is we impact people around us, whether or not we know it or we realize it. So your emotional health, freedom, and fitness is not just about you. We impact those around us. So, and I don't want to hurt anybody. And I know I've hurt people. And it hurts knowing that I've hurt people, and I've reached out to those that I know that I've hurt. I've reached out to them and apologized to them over the years. And so, So anyway, yeah, I'm super grateful for God's grace and patience and forgiveness with all of my issues and stuff that I'm working on and working through. And I just pray that you will continue on this journey with me, and you are absolutely worth it. You are worth it. You matter, you have value, and you make a difference in the world.